in just 24 hours, what may very well be the mother of all heat waves for the Pacific Northwest is going to arrive. I've never wanted my upcoming forecast to be so wrong as it is now, but here we are. So just to start with the watches and warnings, similar to how I did the winter videos, everywhere west of the Cascades is in a excessive heat warning, and right now only the Portland and Medford offices have issued excessive heat warnings. Everywhere else, minus the Olympic Peninsula and the coast in the Pacific Northwest, is under an excessive heat watch. Some areas under a red flag warning, but that will expire prior to the hot temperatures. I do expect that to get reinstated and expanded though, and this excessive heat warning is highly justified because that will run until Monday. So some of the temperature records are in jeopardy. I'm only recording Portland's because Portland's getting the brunt of this heat wave. Portland's all-time June high temperature is very likely going to be broken. That's currently stands at 102. Portland all-time high temperature also may very well be broken, 107. Portland's warmest night, 74 degrees. There's a good likelihood that that will fall too. And then too many daily records to name. There's 4 on my 7-day that will fall, plus 4 nightly that will fall as well. So there's kind of 3 reasons why it's so hot, and the lack of rain in the springtime has led our soil moisture to be far below average, and that's actually causing the temperatures to be a little hotter than they otherwise would be. Not by much, probably about 2 degrees. And then also there's super warm temperatures aloft, and will be getting hotter as we go on into the weekend. And then also because we're near the maximum daylight hours currently, the nights don't really cool off that much, meaning we're at a little bit higher of a starting point as well. So a couple of things how you can prepare for the upcoming heat wave before I get into the actual forecast is, except Portland and areas north, you can still turn on fans during the night hours as it will get cool enough for some relief. If you're in the daytime hours or in that Portland and areas north, you need an AC unit, unfortunately. There are cooling centers. I do not know where, but please look them up if you need to go to one. If you decide to swim, go with a life jacket and limit swimming time because many of the water temperatures are still supportive of hypothermia. Also, drink more water than usual because that will keep your body's temperature regulation a little more in check. Limit outdoor activities even during the morning and late evening hours. And it's especially true for pets because the pavement is hotter than the air temperature. I can also attest to the outdoor activities as a runner, as even at sunset, it still very well could be triple digits, and it may not get below 90 until 11 o'clock at night or even midnight. And in the morning hours, may very well be 90 on some of the days by 9 a.m. in Portland. That's a little less of a problem the further you go south of Portland and the further you go east, though. No sensitive items in your car includes humans and pets. Cover windows to keep the house cool because less sunlight does get into it, and then also cook less because every bit of heat that you add from your stove and especially your oven heats up your house that little bit more. So what's going to be setting up is a high pressure system that's going to settle in right actually over the British Columbia area, specifically southern British Columbia, and this is actually perfect or worst case scenario, depending on how you look at it, for heat to go into the Portland area. Seattle won't get as bad because a lot of the heat will be moving in from the east, and because Seattle, you're not a little closer to the center, you're not going to get quite as much. That being said, there's not going to be a lot of wind with this. So, that is that. So, now on to the temperatures. So, for Sunday, I'm going to skip Friday and Saturday because Sunday and Monday are going to be the warmest days for pretty much everywhere. So, for Sunday, areas in the western valleys, likely minimum of about 95 degrees the further you go north. I have 98 for Seattle, but quickly warming up as you go south. 105 and higher pretty much everywhere from Olympia south. 112 for Portland. That will shatter the all-time high temperature for that date. Corvallis, not much better at 110. East of the Cascades. If you're in the Columbia Basin, it's very similar to the Willamette Valley. Otherwise, you get a little bit of better temperatures with mainly lower hundreds in the high country of Oregon. Coast, it's a little better. 73 in Coos Bay. I didn't put it on here because it would get too clustered, but Newport, Liquid City, probably also about the mid-70s. But as you go further north, Astoria and Forks very well could be in the 90s. And then as we go on to Monday, pretty much anywhere west of the Cascades, except Seattle, should cool down. I think Bellingham may also have a little bit of a warm up too. Anywhere east of the Cascades should warm up a little bit. So Portland cooling down to 107. Corvallis and areas in the southern Willamette Valley will actually have a big cool off at about 15 degrees cooler, 15 to 20 degrees cooler than the previous day's temperature. While east of the Cascades, this is where a lot of your all-time records could fall, and in some cases statewide records if some of the more aggressive models would hold true. Coast, not much really has changed except Astoria's 10 degrees cooler than the day before at 80 degrees. So, for the 7-day in Portland, tomorrow's the last kind of cool day. This is still 10 degrees above average though. So if you don't have any of your heat related items, or I guess cooling related items, please get them now. Friday is day 1. Not a record, but still very hot. Saturday, 106. It'll only get down to about 75 during the evening hours, a little cooler at outlying areas. Sunday's that 112 degrees. And I'm being a little aggressive, but because the computer models and every bit of data I've been seeing has been keeping trending warmer and warmer, I am going pretty aggressive for Portland. It's a little less conclusive in east of the Cascades though, so I'm being a little more conservative there. The low's 80 degrees. Now, a note for Monday, it is a little lower confidence than other days because the reasonable models range from currently at about 90 degrees to 115 degrees. The mid to upper triple digits, the 100, 110 range, is where most of them seem to be clustered, plus that's what the conditions seem to support. The 80 degree low will mainly be in Portland. If you are further out, like Sherwood, Hillsborough, Forest Grove, to name the western communities, it'll probably be closer to 70 to 75. There's also a slight chance for isolated thunderstorms moving up from the southwest, but that is highly unlikely. I'm only giving a 10% chance of that, and if that happens, there may be enough marine push to keep us in the lower end of that spectrum. The low confidence only applies to Portland. I did not find anything to support a high variance anywhere else. So for Corvallis' forecast, you will not notice this. Tuesday, still hot. That is still a record. Anything in red is a record. 99 degrees. Wednesday, finally getting back into the somewhat more reasonable with 93 degrees. Low is still very warm. For Corvallis, a little more reasonable, but still very hot. 86 tomorrow, 94 on Friday, 103 for Saturday, 110 for Sunday. And that 110 would break your all-time record, which is at 109. Monday and Tuesday, I put on both a slight chance of thunderstorms, but similar to what I said with Portland, it's highly dependent on where they're positioned, and that is not likely to happen. So, but you should get enough of the push to get a little bit of a cool down and stay in the 80s on Tuesday and Wednesdays, and low temperatures are far more reasonable than Portland's, partially due to the urban heat island effect, but not solely. So, I'll be posting videos until this is over for Portland, and please keep updated with whatever meteorological source you like to trust, and I will talk to you all later. Please take care.